AVAX has been on a monumental pump to the upside, pushing up almost 400% in just 77 days. Where we can see on this daily chart, we have blasted through a previous area of resistance, and we have now entered into a previous area of support turn resistance. And on those lower timeframes, entering into those target areas we had set for its price action, the question obviously begs, guys, what is going on with AVAX, what is likely to happen next, and what is likely to happen in the bullish market? We're going to cover off everything today, have a look what is really going on with AVAX, but first of all, run that intro. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Cheeky Crypto Uncensored. AVAX has been on a phenomenal rip recently. Let's really dive into the price action of AVAX. We'll start off here down on the 1 hour time frame, Binance being that data source. So you can see that we have smashed up into that fifth wave target area. We have been watching down in Discord between $39.68 and $42.57. I do think there is still a bit more to the upside here for AVAX. I don't think this one is done yet. It does look to be a bit of a diagonal pattern going on here with some very large spikes, really making the lower time frame technical analysis on AVAX in itself quite difficult. But we can take a note of the stochastic on that 1 hour time frame is oversold. There is a weak high on the chart also telling us, we do still have a bit of a push to the upside to come, in my opinion. I do think we could be looking at this move here in itself as a wave 4 of this fifth wave overall, potentially a contracting diagonal pattern. If we just put on a couple of trend lines like so, we take it onto the high of here as well, we can see how that pattern in itself is actually starting to contract. Let's just do a quick check on this one. We will ensure that this is a contracting pattern in itself. The wave 3 actually hitting the 1.236, which is quite interesting. So we could actually see this one push up towards the $46 level. I don't think that is a requirement within itself. Let me just do a couple of checks on this whilst we are here. So we do see on that initial push to the upside an 18.29% push. Then this next low we would have had down here to this high up here, 25%. So in actual fact, this is not a contracting diagonal pattern. What we may actually be here is a corrective treble 3 pattern going on. Either way, we will still look at this as a 5-wave pattern for AVAX. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, this being its wave 4, and a 5th wave still to come. So when we really look at what's going on here, really nesting down these structures, proving a little bit difficult, as you can see, perhaps just for me, we can take this read within itself and look for this one to perhaps come down to around about $39.36, perhaps as low as $38.33, where we can see that is the 0.382 to the 0.5 Fibonacci levels. Minimum expectation for this move to the downside in that fourth wave, of course, has been met here at the 0.236 Fibonacci level of $40.67. So from here, we can predict or have a look at the potential moves to the upside. If we take the current low price here for AVAX on this move, let's just really zoom in here. We take that current wick low. Let's just say that move is done. I don't think it is though. We could be looking at $43.69 to as high as $45.01. However, if we drag this fib down and we take onto that 382 fib level, we can see this one knock up to 43.77 to as high as 45.23. Then we could bring this one all the way down here to the 0.5 Fibonacci level, and we could target out $44.04 up towards $45.97. So we know we're between $43 and $46 for this potential fifth wave push to the upside on the 1 hour time frame for AVAX, which is absolutely fantastic considering the moves that we managed to catch for AVAX down in Discord. We were shorting it a while back. We made some sensational returns. We'll leave it at that. There's no point going into that one too much. If you guys are down there, you know exactly what went on, but we made some absolutely phenomenal returns there. So yeah, great to see we managed to short that at the right time. We managed to get out at the right time, and we have seen this one have a fantastic run to the upside. So yeah, when we do look at this from the daily time frame, Well, first of all, let's talk about where it came down to here in this bear market. We've seen the price come down as low as $8.61, completing out that WXYX and Z pattern we were watching in this C wave, where we can see the C wave falling short of expectation, however, meeting its minimum requirement by crossing the wave one low here of around about $10.54. We've seen that price come down to the $8.60 area. Absolutely fine. So what we have seen come on from here is an impulsive breakout. This is indicative of a breakout pattern. This is exactly what you want to see. In my opinion, this move within itself confirming that the bear market bottom is in for AVAX at $8.61. Now that's obviously might seem like a blatantly obvious comment to make, considering the price has now shot up towards the $40 level. Fantastic. We can see these moves happen and still come down into a new bear market low under certain structures. AVAX, in my opinion, is not one of those. I do think the bottom is in for AVAX, but we will obviously be expecting to see a retracement. Prices cannot continue going up forever. We have to see these ones come down. Looking at that stochastic positioning, the daily, the weekly still in the overbought. They can stay up there for a little bit longer. Yes, that's perfectly fine. But at some point, these ones will have to come back down, much like we are seeing with the likes of Bitcoin. Just a 10% crash is nothing to worry about, but I'm afraid we have seen a correction in the market there, and that is going to affect many others in the space. AVAX will be no exception. So let's look at this move to the upside. What we have marked off here is the previous wick high from the 8th of August 2022 at $30.89. This, in my opinion, would have been an area of high resistance to break on through, and we can see we did find that as a bit of difficulty here. Let's really zoom into this one. On this push up Friday 8th of December, we've seen the price come up to $30.80. Finding it as a bit of resistance on this daily candle. However, the next again day on the Saturday, we broke on through there. We could argue we've came down to test it. Is $31.53 in really the territory? Is it really within the parameters of there for counting as a retrace down to a retest? Let's just argue that it is. I don't quite think it does classify it as, but we can see this area has been an area of support turn resistance in essence. We have broke straight on through there, so that's very interesting to see. The next one in my scope just now was this move over here. The move down on the 9th of May 2022 over to the 10th, over to the 11th. We've seen the price come down and find support on $41.26. We can see right here, $41.18, apologies. We then see the price rally on up, finding support on this one once again, but also finding resistance on this upper end. This candle on the 10th of May 2021 in itself closing and opening on the upper and lower ends. Then we come over to the 11th of May, we can see the open on the upper end here, testing out the lower end and sailing right on down. So my honest opinion, this is a very key area of support turn resistance. Why do I want to highlight that one? Well, when we come all the way over to today's price action, I probably would have been quicker zooming out and zooming back in. Well, we can see the price has came up to test out this area of support turn resistance once again. Now, if we were to measure this one out, this might be quite an interesting exercise here, if I could actually grab it. If we were to measure this one out, well, we can see we have came up and tested out the 50% level of this area. We can see, if we could grab this right onto that lower line, we have came up and tested $42.89 exactly, the 0.5 Fibonacci level of this area of support turn resistance, the 50% level. This is actually quite an interesting thing to see. We have came up, tested it and found rejection. So we will be looking at this one. I do think it would be prudent to keep an eye on this. Should we find rejection from this level here of $42.89, then we will know that this area of support turn resistance does exist. If this candle comes back up, we may find rejection here from $41.18 once again. Perhaps we come right on up here and test out the $44.67 and find rejection. I think this is quite an interesting and key level for the price action of AVAX. Should we break on through here and close a candle above, well, we could be looking for the price to carry on to the upside, perhaps coming down to find support on this level. But as it sits right now, we can see where we're getting rejection off of that 0.5 level, the 50% of this area. This is very interesting indeed, guys. I will highlight this on the screen, $44.68 to $41.18. I know many of you guys like to copy these ones down just to keep them on your own charts, so the numbers are there on the screen. And for reference, of course, this is AVAX paired up with USDT, Binance being the data source. So we know that we do have a very interesting area of support turn resistance for AVAX. So what does this tell us on this macro time frame? We want to perhaps get a position in AVAX. Where could we be looking for a retrace? Well, initially we will obviously look at that 50 to 88.2% level for a pullback for AVAX, and we can see that this will fall between the $19.22 at that 0.5 fib level, with the low around about $10.41. Do we have any areas of interest in and around here? Well, of course we do have another area of support turn resistance actually right on in here at $19. Is this $19 exactly? Yes, it is $19 exactly, the 50% level. We see this push up on the 12th, 13th of November, finding resistance. We've seen this drop down on the 21st, 22nd of November, finding support. This will be a key area to come down and test, which, ironically, at the current price, aligns with the 50 SMA on this daily chart. So we do have a very interesting level here. And lo and behold, this is also the 50% level of a fair value gap from the 15th of November, where obviously we can see these candles on the 21st and 22nd to come down and test out that midline of here. So we know we have some interesting levels. We will have to see this price come on down to test. Perhaps it is just a touch on this upper area before we see that next explosive move to the upside. Yeah, in my opinion, we will see a healthy correction here for AVAX. In terms of shorting this one, is it something you would want to be doing? Potentially. Let's actually just take this down to the current price action, and we want to look at the upper end here of around about $19.30. You're looking at a 52% pullback in the price action. As for a stop loss, the stop loss is going to be a very difficult one. In my opinion, you would want to have it up here on this previous wick high that we previously spoke about. Now that is a 73% stop loss. In my opinion, that is not a great position to be in. If you were going to be using extremely low leverage, then yes, perhaps it would be one for you. In my opinion, I would probably be looking somewhere up around this upper area. Maybe try get ourselves into a 3-to-1 position round about here. You would be looking at $46.94. In my opinion, yes, we do have a pullback to come. If you could enter here with extremely low leverage, you have a fantastic opportunity to keep your stop loss extremely high. I'm fairly confident we're going to see these pullbacks happen. As we said on the lower time frames, I do still expect to see, a bit of a push to the upside. So perhaps we could snipe a better entry here on the lower time frames. But overall, the interest remains the same here, that I would still be looking for a good short to come down to around about, let's target out down towards that $20 level here for AVAX. I do think, these pullbacks, they're just starting to happen. We can obviously see it across many projects. It doesn't look like it's happening just yet for AVAX, but rest assured, guys, I'm confident that one will come. Lastly, we'll look at that weekly chart for AVAX. We did touch on it on the intro to today's video. Over the last 77 days, we have, of course, seen that 398% push to the upside. I do think there is still some left on the tank here. We can see the interesting level here, though. This 0.382 Fibonacci coming at $39.34 is the Fibonacci for this move to the upside. We will actually look into this one very shortly, but we can see we have come up, tested it, perhaps finding it as, a rough area of rejection overall. So is the bottom in for AVAX? I do believe it is. Obviously, we were looking at these moves to the downside, in particular this A, B, and C structure, the one that we did manage to short very successfully, and we can see that price coming down to test out the 786 fib of this push to the downside of this C wave. We found support on the 786 fib and rallied on from there. In my opinion, the bottom, of course, does look in. We were kind of targeting out a potential move down towards here. There was no requirement for here. This was purely an area of interest for us, but an entry down here at $8.61 is fantastic. Should we see that price come down again, we do have another fantastic entry point here for AVAX. So we do take this move over once again of this previous bull market. Let's just quickly carry this one over. We brought it onto the current bear market low. I've mapped up all the Fibonacci levels of interest for this next bullish market. So we can see we are coming up here to test out the 382 Fibonacci level. And we are kind of finding it as a bit of rejection, considering the stochastic positionings. We could find a rejection from here, move on down. So we can see the move up in this C wave coming to here currently. A move up towards the 50% level, where we'll be looking at around about $62, where we don't really have many challenges around here, in my opinion. Perhaps a bit of Yeah, we could actually argue over here a bit of support term resistance once again, but it's not really a glaring one overall. The 618 fib level, as you guys know, I quite like. It's quite a high level of psychology here at the 618. We will see a lot of selling pressure, and we can see over at that previous B wave, yeah, we found rejection there previously, so very interesting to keep our eyes on that $100 level for AVAX. Then of course the 702 fib level here, we can see this pretty much marrying up with the previous all-time high for AVAX all the way back on the 15th of November 2021 at $147. Of course that's 702 at $140. There will be a lot of resistance should we see the price come up this high. Then we have the 786 fib level at $196. Would that not just be fantastic to see the price rally on up towards here? Looking at a 2000% return on investment, it does seem very nice indeed. The 882 Fibonacci level, well of course we can see that one coming at $287. Once again we would be looking at a 3200% return on investment should you have got in at that $8 level. And of course the 1-to-1 of that previous bull market would see a 5200% return. Should we see AVAX come up to $459? I think once again guys it would be a monumental task to see it come there. If it did get there, it would be absolutely fantastic in my opinion. Now of course we can be the bulls, we can be overly speculative here. Is AVAX a 100x project? Could we see it do 13,720% return on investment and hit $1,183? Yeah, $1,176, I should apologise. I think it would be an extremely tough ask to see a $1,000 AVAX. If I was going to be realistic, I would at least want to see that double top scenario tested out at $147. Then we would obviously target out these moves to the upside. But of course, we have the option here to look at this move to the upside simply being an A wave, and we will look for that retracement in a B wave. We could just draw this box on the charts quite quickly here and do that move overall. So should we see this as the top, should we see this as the bottom, we will carry this one over, and let's just take it down to that midline of the fair value gap, which is roughly the midline of that target area. Well, we can see that a 1-to-1 retracement of here would of course take us up towards that 50% retracement level and the 618 retracement level. Once again, high psychology here guys, around about $100. So we can see that one obviously structuring out. Now of course we could look at this completely differently. We know we have a 5-wave move to the upside. We could see this one here as a wave 2. We would be looking for $190, that 786 Fibonacci level. You can see how these ones are starting to add up guys. This one here could be our wave 3, come down in our wave 4, perhaps testing out that 618 once again, and look to explode up in that 5th wave, really making the expectation of perhaps $287, perhaps $459 a reality here for AVAX. So we can see we do have some potential structures that may take us on that path to a $450 AVAX. It would be simply fantastic. It would be simply fantastic to see so. However, it's far too early to be predicting those numbers in my opinions. We can look at it, we can speculate, and we can obviously target out the path to get there. But until we do see these structures firmly concreting themselves into this path, we will harbour expectations. Let's look at that 50% fib level coming at the $62. Let's look at that 618 fib level coming at $100. Let's see what happens there. Let's see how the price reacts. Of course, we'll obviously look to get in on this next retracement also. Guys, I will leave that one there for today. Let us know what everything you thought of today's video. Let us know what you thought of the potential targets for AVAX in the next bullish market. Also, it's always fantastic to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. And of course, as always, if you are going to trade, please do trade safely. Have a nice tight stop loss, make some great gains, staying safe in the space, and until next time, have a very nice day.